So I'm working on a project for Swan Park. We're creating a bench for the park, and there's another artist who's going to create a series of tiles that will go into the park. And it's it's an environmental type project where we're looking at the life cycle of the salmon as part of a seat for the park, and then a series of tiles that tell the story of what lives and grows in the park. The seat itself is going to be made in handmade ceramic tile and mosaic. And as I said, the seat tells the story of the life cycle of the salmon. So all the stages of growth of the salmon will be made in handmade ceramic tile, and then with seaweed growing in amongst it, and then mosaic tile as part of it too. So far it's all been made. It's here drying around us. And the next stage of it is to fire it. We have a kiln here, and then glaze it. And all the work will then be made. And the plan is next year, I'll put it together and install it in the park. So I've done a series of workshops with the wider community, with school groups, with a group of elderly people, with a group from the exchange, a group of refugees, and then also sort of like an open workshop for the wider public, and then Artlink members also took part. And they made a series of small decorative tiles that will form part of the background to the seat and also be part of the perimeter part at the bottom of the seat. So they've made lots of tiles. We're surrounded by them here, and they're going to be beautifully glazed, and people will be able to come and find their tile in the seat when it's all put together. So I'm one of the founder members of Artlink, which started 31 years ago. And this project for Swans Park, we started, I think, in 93 or 94. And it was the first public art project that Artlink did, and it was actually the first public art project that I ever undertook. It happened through an Artist in the Community scheme from the Arts Council. One of those projects was to design and make this tile seat for the centre of the park. The theme was the life cycle of the salmon, because it was beside a salmon fishing river. And I worked with a number of young women who were working as part of a community employment scheme with the local council. They had been working in the park, digging ditches, planting flowers. So for the winter, for 6 months, beginning in the winter time, they came and worked in the Artlink studio and developed the design for this seat, and also made all the tiles. Each of them are handmade and carved and glazed, and then they were sited here. The project lasted 6 months in total. It's become a big feature in the park. So the original project, I think it was launched in 95. We had it installed in 95. And for me, it was a real learning experience because I had never done anything like it before. Working with the community, working with the local council to get it all installed. And in ways, it kind of was the beginning of my journey in the area of public art and doing what I do now. So it was a real learning experience for me at the time. Well, I suppose the first time around, I was teaching myself how to do it, and I think that's what artists do. We teach ourselves as we go along and learn as we go along constantly. It doesn't stop. But now being invited back to recreate a similar project, it's really exciting, because this project has always been close to my heart because it was the first one that I ever did. So now coming back and not doing the exact same project, but developing the designs on a little bit, working with some of the same people who were involved to begin with, some new people also, and just taking a theme that was there 30 years ago and developing it on to something, more in a style, I think, of what I've developed my own work as, and making something that will be permanent for the local park. I think it's really nice.
In 1994, I was working in a community employment scheme in Swan Park, and Aileen approached myself and Claire Henderson and Sinead Craig and Carol Doherty and invited us to come out and work in Tullyarvin for about 6 months on a tile project. Prior to Aileen approaching us, I had always had a great interest in art, but I had a really bad experience of it at second level. So I look on that intervention as a really positive thing that I think changed things for me. I don't know if I would have pursued art had that not happened. So gave me great opportunities then to build confidence in your creativity and continue on that path and move on to, at that point I had a young son, so I couldn't study art at university, but I did pursue that later in life. Yeah, back again, and it's great to be working with Aileen again, and Sinead and Julie and the original participants, and I look forward to seeing how it looks when it's reinstalled again because of the damage that happened, and it disappeared, but it was a key part of the park for most people. So in the original project, my son, who was 2 or 3 at the time, so we used his handprint in one of the tiles. And over the years, as we would walk through the park, we would observe how he'd grown and stuff, and lots of children would measure their hands on that tile as well. So this time we have made tiles with Aileen's granddaughter and my granddaughter, so we'll carry on that legacy, and they will become part of the park. But part of the original thing, I think, was when we were approached in the park, it was the support to, encourage your creativity, to delve into that. And I think that's part of Artlink's legacy too, is being able to support other artists and support people who maybe haven't had formal art training as well, which is really important because there are so many artists who are self-taught in the area, and it's great that they can link in, that it doesn't have to be that formal art education. I think that's really important.
I came out along with Geraldine and Sinead a couple of times, and we were working on the design of it. I wasn't involved with the first time, so it was kind of very much a learning curve for me, really, because they all had a background in it. But once it got going, and it was quite enjoyable to do that part of it. And then from that, then I took part in a couple of the workshops, the one with Artlink, and then I helped Aileen and the one down in the Exchange. And I've just been out as well, then just making some of the tiles, really just kind of helping out from then on. And I'm hoping now to take part maybe in the glazing.
Well, I think for the first part of the project, which we did in '95, I think for a lot of people, including the council, they didn't really know what I was trying to do. It wasn't until they saw the finished piece of work, they were like, oh yeah, this is really nice and it suits the park, it suits the environment. So when the flood in 2017 happened and most of the park was destroyed, the council took on the job of regenerating the whole park, rebuilding paths and developing new areas. So it was great that they consulted the community, and the community wanted this project to happen again, that this, the individual tiles and the seat that were in the park formed an integral part of that park. It was part of people's experiences. I've had young adults now tell me that they remember as kids going around the park and seeing all the little individual tiles with the leaves and the animal footprints and having a game of finding them, so it's kind of part of their history. There's another local artist, Matthew Porter, who is making all the individual tiles for the park, and he's been doing workshops with the community, as well as making his own tiles, and has developed that whole idea of the environmental trail, developed it on. doing something a little bit different and a little bit new.
I'm Matthew Porter. I'm a ceramic artist working in Buncrana, and Artlink asked me to join Aileen doing the project in Swan Park. We started working with community groups down at the Angling Centre, and we gathered flowers from all around Swans Park and printed them into clay to put up where they used to be. We tried to include as many native plants that were already growing, but we added some the cultivated species. I tried to place them where the plants would be around the place so people can identify the plants around and they might learn something. I'd done a map originally. There was one there of the map of the river and the townlands. So we tried to replace that, but I did an extra map then too for a map of the river, naming all the pools, because I like fishing, so I thought the fishermen might like that. And I've done a salmon as well, just same reason. I tried to include some of the bug life that would be about as well, so the kids can come along and do crayon rubbings of them and stuff. And they'll be able to do that with the plants and all as well. So I added the names of the plants in English and Irish, just to give people an idea of the different names. And again, for the kids to come around and do rubbings and stuff. It's a handy wee thing. Well, it's great because it's my park kind of too. So it's lovely to have something that'll be permanent in here. Hopefully it'll last 30 years or more like the other ones, so, or even longer.
So I'm back here to finish off the project that we started last year. All the handmade tile are done, everything's been glazed. And this past 3 weeks I've been working in Dunree at Artlink, putting together the mosaic with the handmade tile to create the whole bench. Everything that was glazed last year, from the pieces that were made by the schools, by the centre out in Dumfries, all of the work that was done throughout the workshops is included here, especially along the edge of the bench. So basically what I've been doing the last few weeks, I created a design with some of the participants from last year, Julie and Sinead and Geraldine, and we decided where we were going to place all the handmade tile. And then I got donations from a tile company, a local tile company, and that is all broken tile that's used as the background. Some beautiful colours. And it was all created at the studio at Artlink, put together on one big table. And then I use a tape on top of it, a tile tape that's really strong, that will create the whole design and keep it together. And then it was cut into sections and installed in the park. And it was the same with what's done on the side here. So once everything was created at the studio, I cut each piece into a section and numbered it, and we brought it to the park last Friday. We had amazing weather for the installation of it, and I worked with a really good local tiler, Liam Doherty, and he helped me to install the whole thing, piece by piece. We put a tile cement down, and then each section with the tape still attached to it is placed on the tile cement. It's like a giant jigsaw. And then we let that dry and take the tape off, and then the following day we put grout all over it, and that holds everything together. And it sort of frames each little individual tile as well, brings the whole design together. So that took about 3 days to do. So we walked around the park last year and to try and decide where we were going to locate it. And this little corner here was ideal because it was very close to where the original bench was situated. And it's close to the river, where a lot of people will go down to look at the river where the salmon actually spawn down there. So I think we chose a really nice and a quiet location. I think this part of the park is very sheltered. We get a lot of kids playing in the open area. So I think it'll be well used and well seen. So it's been such a delight for me to come back and work with Artlink again on this project, because this was the original one, which was done 30 years ago, almost 30 years ago. It was the first public art project I ever did. And it went through various things happened that it didn't survive after about 15 or 20 years. And the community really liked having it here. It was a part of the infrastructure. So it was really nice to be able to come back, to work with some of the original people, to have more people involved in creating stuff. And the fact that I'm from here is a big thing for me to come back and do a piece of public art here as well. And I'm really happy with it. Yeah.